Hello, hello, and welcome to my free live training. In this video today, we are going to be talking about how you can transform your life from feeling like you're living in survival mode, you feeling like you're just existing, into this world of really thriving. So living the life that you really want to be living, feeling happy, feeling joyful, feeling at peace, feeling really like you belong, connected, love, all of these good things, whatever that thriving means to you, about having that life of more. Now, just before we start, my name's Anna Rushmer and I'm a hypnotherapist and breathwork facilitator. And all of my work helping my clients to move from surviving to thriving is based on, all of my own healing experiences over the last 16 years. So let us get started. I am just sharing my screen so I can talk you through this process. Okay, lovely. So for you to go from surviving to thriving, in my expertise, I feel there are three things that we've got to really nail down. And as we talk through this process, I've put together this visual, this diagram, so that we can almost work from the middle of the diagram out. So you see S to T in the middle there, so surviving to thriving. There are three things that we've really got to nail down to get to that, thriving point. And the first is our abundance, our wealth, our abundance, that which kind of gives us the freedom to, create the lifestyle that we want, and also the opportunity to make a real impact in the world if we feel that that is our calling. So my work applies equally to entrepreneurs as well as corporate, so around that feeling around wanting to make an impact. The second point is around having our calm, our stillness of mind, as we travel through life, that peace of mind, that just enables us to, or enables life to feel easier to us then. And the third one is relationships. So, if we have good relationships, if we be that with parents, kids, friends, our partners, our colleagues, our soul clients, if we've got those good relationships within our world, we're going to have a good life. So to have those three things, our entire focus needs to be on three core areas. So I call those the flow, the beliefs, and the triple Bs. So the flow is all about our abundance, as I say. So the abundance that we have, how much money we're making, how much we're bringing in or not, as the case may be. We may be feeling really stuck with that, or our money flow may very well be in this kind of feast or famine kind of cycle. But this is all about, how we are traveling through life financially, basically. But that's not the only thing. We need to then look at these two other things, which are our beliefs and the triple Bs. Okay, so our beliefs are, well, our limiting beliefs within our beliefs are the things that are holding us back. Now, these are often hidden deep in our subconscious. They are the stories that we tell ourselves that are holding us back, and the things that have happened in the past to us that may be preventing us now from having a really good, future and also present life as well. And as I say, these can quite often be hidden away from us, our limiting beliefs within our subconscious. And then our triple Bs are all around, coming back to us, essentially, coming back into our calm, into our peace, coming back into our own bodies, so that we can create a life that feels and is a lot easier, for ourselves. The flow within that side is a lot easier for ourselves as well. Now, what I want to do is go deeper into each of these three core areas. So the flow, the beliefs, the triple Bs. And we'll start by having a look at the flow. So there are, when it comes to abundance, when it comes to having, you know, the income that we want to have, the level of lifestyle that we want to have, the freedom that we want to have within our worlds, the first thing we have to think about here is our strategy. Now, this will maybe apply more to the entrepreneurial ladies who are listening to this. However, there will be, you know, some overlap into corporate world as well. At the end of this process, by the way, we're going to do an exercise on looking at where we are with each of these. So starting with the strategy first, you know, I am all about visualizing, manifesting, you know, all of that kind of high vibe work. However, just thinking ourselves rich, you know, trying to visualize ourselves there, trying to manifest, that work alone is not going to work, you know, on its own. You know, we can try doing that for years on end. There may be an element that comes in, but it's not going to really happen for us if we are just trying to kind of think ourselves rich, you know, come into that kind of visualizing kind of space. But the thing with strategy, when it comes to strategy, not one size fits all. And I really stress this, because I see way too many coaches, you know, talking about the processes that work for them, which is great, you know, and saying, well, if I can do it, you can do it. And this is what you need to be doing. Now, that is totally wrong for me as a message, and has been totally wrong for me in my experience as well within my own business. So basically, we're all unique. We all have unique gifts. We all have very unique ways of needing to communicate to our clients so that we can really touch, you know, our clients, our soul clients. And actually then we all have very unique ways in which to really receive our soul clients as well. And this is where human design comes in a million times over for me. Okay. So to be able to move into this space of really thriving, we need to know ourselves on this human design level. So human design is all about knowing ourselves on a kind of energetic basis. So everything about, you know, who we are, what we need, how we communicate best. So there's a whole load of information that we can learn about ourselves through human design, but it is absolutely matching our business strategy with, or matching my business strategy with my human design has absolutely been a massive, you know, the key to my success. So for example, I have an absolute ton of stillness within my chart. So that means that my success comes as much from my stillness. So that means kind of stillness of mind, as well as stillness in terms of inaction. My success comes as much from that stillness, that inaction, as it does from action. Okay, so everything that I was told in the early days of, you know, you need to be consistent, you need to be batching content, you need to be doing this, that, and the other. Actually, a lot of it was wrong for my particular human design. So to really thrive within, you know, our abundance within our lives, we need to be able to tune into the human design, who we are on a human design level, and actually build that into our business strategy. Now, money blocks is the next one we are going to look at in our model. Now, money blocks are hidden in our subconscious. Okay, we need to be able to remove our money blocks from our mindset. Now, unless we're born into a lifestyle which is the lifestyle that we want to, you know, continue to have now, we are highly likely gonna have blocks to creating our abundance. Now, the reason for that is because whatever we've grown up with being kind of our norm is comfortable for us. So we're highly likely going to have money blocks in place. You know, we'll certainly have money blocks in place if that's something that you're currently struggling with, that you feel like you're in survival mode with. And those money blocks are often learnt at an early age, and often kind of passed down from our parents' blueprint around money as well. So there's no blame or anything here, but this is just naturally how it tends to happen. Now, those money blocks are going to stay locked in place until we know where they are, you know, potentially what they're there for, and actually how we can resolve them. And money blocks can quite often be linked to feelings around, you know, not good enough, not feeling worthy, not feeling deserving. And you know, so there's quite a lot of overlap with each of these, which is why I've drawn this diagram as it is, but there's quite a lot of overlap between each of these sections within our surviving to thriving process. So this tallies obviously a lot with our beliefs, but just focusing on the money blocks, you know, this is all about breaking those generational chains. So, you know, becoming the first millionaire within the family, if that feels like your calling, but actually allowing those money blocks to be released so that actually we can travel through life way more easily and actually bring in the income that, you know, we want to into our worlds. So then we are talking about now becoming a magnet. Okay, so this is around, you know, becoming a magnet to the things, the right opportunities, the right things coming into our lives. So becoming a magnet for those right opportunities and actually deflecting, repelling those things, you know, that we don't want to come into our lives. And there's kind of two parts to this. So there's our focus, within which I'm talking about, you know, our subconscious focus. And then there's also kind of our body energy and our nervous system in here. So I'll cover both of those quickly now. So we hear people talk about alignment. You know, I talk about alignment as well. And we talk about, you know, how you need to be in alignment to create the things that we want in our worlds. Yes, absolutely. However, we are already in alignment to something. It just depends what we're focused on, what our subconscious is focused on, as to what we're going to bring in more of. Okay, so are we aligned for our success, our wealth? Are we aligned for our freedom? Or are we aligned at the moment for, you know, being broke, feeling broke, being in survival mode around money, being in massive debt, being in feast and famine around money? You know, a lot of money comes in and then we lose it all again, or a lot of money comes in and then we get a massive bill that we have to pay. These kind of patterns. You know, does it feel to you that as soon as you feel like everything's working, you know, you've got clients coming in, then everything stops, you know? And absolutely, I have experienced this myself. Okay. So this is all about what we're focused on. So within this, we're looking at what we're focused on within the subconscious, which, remember, again, is hidden. Now with hypnotherapy, we can communicate directly with the subconscious, so we can find out what's happening, you know, what our patterns are, and actually what needs to be resolved. So what's that focus within our subconscious? What do we keep bringing more of into in our world? You know, that can be money, it can be relationships, it can be anything, but what are we bringing more of into our world? And we can go in and have a look at that. Now the other bit I was talking about as well within here is about our nervous system regulation. So making sure that, like, our nervous system, our body's energy is in the right space to be able to firstly receive the goodness that we want to come into our lives, our true desires, but then also that our nervous system, that our body energy is kind of expanded enough to be able to hold that as well. So for example, you know, if you have brought in a high ticket client previously, and then, you know, everything feels like it's completely shut down. I've experienced, you know, I experienced that myself in the early days, didn't understand what that was about, but actually my nervous system was just, you know, my body energy was saying, nope, that's enough. This is safe. Let's shut everything else down. So until we can, you know, be in that mode of receiving and then holding our true desires, we're going to come up against blocks or stops in our road. So, you know, again, coming back into this kind of survival kind of feeling. Okay, so when you've got those three things, you know, this is when our flow, our abundance, our income is just going to start working for us in the way it's supposed to, you know, supporting us in our life's work, whether that's in, you know, corporate, as I say, or in our own business, and, you know, really wanting to make an impact in the world. So next element we're going to talk about is our beliefs. Okay, so we'll start on the left here. Know thyself. Okay, so this section here, know thyself, is all about what we believe. You know, it's our beliefs around who we are. So it's our beliefs around having a deep understanding about who we truly are. So having a deep understanding about who we are, but before, you know, before maybe the trauma happened to us, before life's events happened to us, before, you know, a parent, maybe a teacher, somebody that we looked up to when we were little told us that we weren't good enough, or made us feel that we weren't good enough, perhaps when we were little. Again, no blame. This is just the way, you know, life happens, and we learn our lessons. So we get to know ourselves. This is all about knowing yourself and what you believe about yourself, but actually starting to learn who you truly are. Okay, so truly are stripping out the trauma, the life's lessons. So we use Gene Keys to do this, to really start to understand, you know, as I say, who we truly are, so that we can come into really embodying that, and then coming into really thriving in life. So Gene Keys tells us, bespoke for all of us, you know, who we really are on this unique, encoded into our DNA, but on a really unique shadows and gifts kind of level. So Gene Keys will tell us our shadows, our gifts, that which again are unique to us, but this gives us a really deep understanding of who we really are, but also what our true potential is, and what our true power is, and what's really available to us. So as I say, knowing ourselves, but under, you know, knowing who we truly are, taking all of the trauma, the life's lessons, the life's events, you know, out. So those things that have been spoiled for us, taking those out and really understanding ourselves on this core DNA level. Because basically, if we don't understand who we truly are, you know, what our magical gifts are, how much, you know, magnificence we have within us already, we can't kind of really understand how to get to our goal, how to get to our destination. So it's a bit like we are landing in a new country and we're wanting to get to a particular place, but we don't know where we are to start with. So, you know, we're landing in the States, we want to get to New York, we're in LA at the moment, we've got no idea how to get to, you know, wherever that destination is that we want to. And the thing is, if we don't know, you know, where we are, we don't know how to get to our goal. And this is about when we can identify our Gene Keys profile, when we can understand ourselves really deeply with our Gene Keys profile, it's a bit like, you know, coming with a manual, like a manual for ourselves. So we weren't born with a manual, but it's a bit like having a manual for ourselves, and understanding ourselves on that level, and being able to, you know, live on that level, like that true us level. So then we come into the 5 limiting beliefs. And once we know, who we are, again, at that DNA level, the shadows and the gifts, we need to then check in with releasing our limiting beliefs. Now, there are 5 main limiting beliefs that, most people are going to operate from on a daily basis. And these are kind of 5 limiting beliefs that most of our general beliefs about ourselves, about life, will kind of boil down to. And they almost kind of keep us in a box. They almost keep us kind of small, keep us maybe safe from being too visible within our work, for either entrepreneur or corporate, actually. But it's a bit like sort of playing it small, playing it safe, keeping us in a box. And until we learn to release those limiting beliefs that again sit within our subconscious, often very hidden, until we can release those, it's almost like we've got a bit of elastic that keeps pulling us back into our box. So, we can consciously decide that we are feeling more confident. We're feeling safe enough to do something or other. We feel like we're ready for that relationship of our dreams, maybe. We feel like we've got the confidence to get out there and be really visible in our work so that we can really help our soul clients and attract them in. Now, we can consciously decide all of that, but if these limiting beliefs sit within our subconscious is way more powerful than our conscious mind. And the subconscious is almost going to pull us back, with that, ping us back with that bit of elastic and put us back in our box. So we want to identify, to really come into this thriving life, we want to dig into our 5 limiting beliefs, and actually identify, which ones are there for us, which ones are strongest for us, and actually start to resolve those. Now, then we come into reframing. So whenever we remove something, we want to be replacing it with something else, whether that be like removing programs within the subconscious, removing energy within the body, so purging energy that we don't want anymore, toxic trauma energy. Maybe we want to be replacing it, reframing it with something that gives us power, as opposed to taking it away as previously was. So whether that's reframed beliefs, as I say, the kind of energy that we want to hold, but we want to come into this space of really feeling empowered. So reframing for our real empowerment, really embodying who we truly are, our real power. And this is absolutely a choice that we can make. Okay, once we're working through releasing, this is absolutely a choice that we can make. So this is a bit like, I like to think of this as a bit like demanding our Wonder Woman powers back. Okay, so those powers that we were inherently born with, let's call those back in. Let's create, the world that we want to have for ourselves, because we can choose to do that. So then we come into our triple Bs. Now, this is all around boundaries, balance, and behaviors. So if we have the right boundaries in our worlds, in our relationships, with everything that's going on in our lives, if we have the right balance, and remember, this is specific for us as well, so we've got human design and gene keys in there to really get to know ourselves. If we have the right balance for us specifically, the right balance between work, resting, and play, the right balance between work and family, and also having fun, having that joy in our lives. And we also have the right behaviors so that things can happen consistently in our world now. Then at the end of it, we're going to really be able to come into this you know, calm space, this space where our relationships are really, you know, we feel really connected in our relationships, and also our relationship with ourselves, remember, as well, you know, really loving ourselves, really being able to accept ourselves as well, flaws and all, because we all have them. And this is when we're going to move into, you know, out of that surviving to thriving space. So let's have a look at each of these separately. So when it comes to feeling calm, feeling peace of mind, you know, having energy, having focus, having creativity, feeling like we're really, really living, we want to have boundaries. We want to have strong boundaries in place. If we don't have boundaries, we're acting a little bit like, you know, a sieve, a strainer, with our energy, with our happiness, with our peace of mind, because we might be able to do, you know, all the right things, as people would say. We might be able to do all the right things to create that, to create our calm, our energy, our happiness. But if we don't have boundaries, they're essentially just going to leak out straight away through the holes in our, you know, strainer, our sieve, pretty much as soon as we put them in. So we may know already, you may well know, because going back to, you know, my world, I knew that I needed to put boundaries in. You may well know that you need boundaries already within work, maybe with your own parents, you know, maybe with partners, with your kids. Boundaries around really giving yourself time to really nurture and reparent yourself, perhaps. But try as you might, as soon as you put boundaries in place, you just get overwhelmed by a huge amount of guilt. You know, that feeling that actually you're being really, really selfish, because you should be putting everybody else first. You should be doing everything for everybody else before you come into this space of really looking after yourself. Now, that guilt, all of those programs around like feeling selfish, are subconscious programs again. So these are things that have been learned, that have been put in place, that we can go in, identify where they are, why they're there, and actually resolve those as well, so that you can come into this space of setting boundaries from an absolute place of, you know, kindness and compassion. But setting those strong boundaries so that actually everybody benefits from them, you benefit from them, and then you are the best version of you for, you know, those people that you want to be there for, those people that you love, the work that you love doing, your clients that you love working with. And balance. When we have our boundaries in place and we can state what we truly need, we have the ability then to start slowing life down, okay, and really, really working on our balance. And the key to most of our worlds right now is actually this really, you know, this real slowing everything down, learning that actually we need to slow things down. Our bodies are not designed to operate in this, you know, chronic stress world that we are now trying to operate in. So this is really, really important. You know, it's really important that we learn to slow things down. You know, and us being out of us trying to live and operate in a society right now that is not in alignment with our needs, what our bodies need, is absolutely why there are so many mental health issues out there, you know, also physical health problems as well. And remember that we now know, you know, who we are from that human design, from that gene keys level. So we now know what we need, and we also know what we need to do to implement that as well. So coming into this calm space. So everything starts to get easier when we can bring in that balance and we can really think about what our body needs, as opposed to, you know, living life from the mind and letting the mind drive everything. So when we come in, when we have a look at behaviors within the triple Bs, there are two parts of behaviors that we need to think about when we think about moving from surviving to thriving. So there are, on the one side, we've kind of got the spectrum here. So on the one side, we want to have a look at destructive behaviors that are causing us problems, that are creating, you know, self-sabotage within our worlds potentially. You know, so for example, where we may be working way too hard to be able to bring in the balance and the boundaries, you know, we've got that kind of workaholic mentality, which is, you know, no fault of anybody's. This is the way, sadly, that, you know, society is set up. These are the lessons that we learn in life. So there may be workaholic kind of destructive behaviors. There may be, you know, we may be numbing our emotions. We may be terrified of our emotions, so actually numbing them with food or booze, for example. I was definitely in that space, you know, trying to kind of escape my emotions and suppress them even more, which actually just makes things worse over a longer space of time. So we've got the, we want to focus on resolving those destructive behaviors. You know, there may be others that are happening for you at the moment as well. But also it's about here learning how to create our new behaviors. So how to create our new behaviors to create new habits, but also doing this one step at a time, you know, small steps at a time, so that we are not creating more overwhelm. You know, a lot of my clients come to me in this state of exhaustion and feeling massively overwhelmed already. So all of this work is about me being a, you know, a deep support for you, so helping you to go from surviving to thriving, but without you know, without overwhelm. So we need to think about how we can create those small steps, small changes, one step at a time. No overwhelm, just building new habits and steadily. So the key with so this is our process. This is within, you know, my expertise. These are the areas of focus that I think we need to move from our world of surviving into really thriving. And this is the journey that I take my clients on, lead them into and through with deep support. But what's really key is that within the work that I do, I also use the tools, but then show you how to use the tools yourself, so that you know, you're self-sufficient within your own world as well. So you're not becoming dependent on anybody else to help you make these changes. You know, my world is not about keeping people in programs indefinitely. This is about helping you to really, really move into your thriving life and having those tools then to really support yourself on an emotional, physical, mental and spiritual level. So just before we finish, there's an exercise that you can I would like to invite you to do, and that is to, as we're looking at this diagram, to actually go through and just color code each of these parts. So each of the 9 segments that we've just walked through, just go through those and color code those for yourself. So color code them with green, orange or red. So green means, yep, I'm world class at this. This is all good. You know, I feel like this is in a good space. I don't need to do any more work on this. Orange would be the, yeah, this, you know, this is okay, but I know that I could probably do with a bit more focus, a bit more work on this. And red is, yep, absolutely, this is a problem, needs fixing right away. You know, you've probably tried to help yourselves with it before. You know, a lot of my clients come to me in that space. But you know, it's that, yeah, this is a problem, and now is the time to actually start to have a look at it. And when we do this, when we're color coding this for ourselves, we want to be doing it from this space of not judging ourselves, just being really, really honest for ourselves, to give ourselves a really honest idea of where we're up to. Because when we know, you know, the elements that we need to work on, those that we feel happy with, when we're aware, our awareness is kind of 50% of our, on the way to our healing, you know, and our growing and our up leveling. So if you want to take a snapshot of this, maybe color code it with your red, orange and green, and then by all means take a picture of that if you'd like to, and send it to me on Messenger if you want to discuss any of these elements, you know, some more. Feel free to send it to me. We can have a quick chat about, you know, where you are at the moment. You're also welcome to book a free lifestyle next level audit with me if you would like to as well. And within that audit, we can look at, you know, who, let me just stop the share. We can look at, you know, where you are right now, where you want to be, and actually how we can bridge the gap between those two spaces right now. So feel free to, you know, message me with either of those. Feel free to ask me any questions as you'd like to. But I hope this training really helps you to kind of really pinpoint down what you need to be able to help you transform from survival mode, from feeling like you're surviving, you're just existing in life, through to actually thriving. And, you know from me that it doesn't matter what we've experienced in life previously, this work is possible. You know, my world was healing from, I needed deep healing from childhood sexual abuse and childhood kind of trauma to really come into this space of thriving. So, you know, I have walked this walk, I've lived it in the same way that my clients have now too. So feel free to ask me any questions as you would like to, you know, connect. I am here to help, and I send you tons of love. So thank you so much for listening. I will speak to you soon. Take care.